This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is December the 15th, and it is about time to start talking about trade rumors. And I'm pretty sure the Knicks are going to be in a lot of them. We're going to talk about some of the hottest trade rumors that's out there in the NBA right now, how they might apply to the New York Knicks, and if the Knicks are going to be ready to make some moves to try to upgrade this roster. All right, I got Steph with me. We got Nate. We got Andy. And we're going to break it down. All right, so let's go ahead and get with it. I want to talk about the Knicks' 3 biggest needs before we even get into talking about who might be available. I want to talk about the Knicks' 3 biggest needs. In my opinion, I believe we need a floor general / leader. I think that's probably the biggest need that we have as a floor general and leader. I think we need a scoring and defensive center, meaning a guy that can play defense, block shots, but also give you a little bit in the post, give you a little bit from the mid-range, and a little bit from three-point shooting. And I think we need a defensive wing. Those are the 3 biggest needs that I think this team needs right now. Can we get them before the trade deadline? Who knows? Steph, good afternoon to you. What do you think?
Yeah. Hey, Sim, Nate, Andy in the chat. Sim, if we can get all 3.
There's jam of the year.
I would be happy if we can only get 1. I think it's that floor general. I think it's that, that point guard that's going to take the ball out of Julius' hands and set up our offense and hopefully, get our guys some good shots.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be the one to get. If you can only get 1, I think the floor general is probably the one to get. Nate, what's your take? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The floor general is like the quarterback in football. You don't have a quarterback, you don't win most times. In basketball, you have to have a point guard. And, we've talked so many times about how the point guard, if you have a cerebral point guard that can not only get get a bucket himself, but also can get others involved, that's huge. And when you got guys like Mitch Robinson who need a point guard to get in buckets, that's going to help their center position. And then, if you got a point guard that's got great vision and good IQ, they're going to be able to get those balls out to the corners for those threes for the wings. So it's going to help your team so much better if you have the point guard right off the bat, and then you kind of build from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Andy?
Yeah, what up, Sim? What up, Steph, Nate? Listen, like you guys said, I think the floor general position is the biggest Band-Aid the Knicks need at the current situation. So, I think we got a gun for that.
I think the issue is who's out there on the trade market that can be that floor general. I mean, where do we get it from at this point? I don't know if we can. Okay, let's start with Ben Simmons. He's the obvious floor general that's out there, right? He's making $30 million this season. He's on a long contract. I don't know how long the contract is. As a matter of fact, I do. I can bring his contract across the screen right now, right? Ben Simmons makes $33 million this season, $35 million next season, $37 million in 23-24, and $40 million in 24-25. And we did an entire show on Ben Simmons, so I don't want to talk for a very long time about him. But do you think Ben Simmons fits that need? Steph, I'll start with you.
This is a tough one, Sim. If it's a Ben Simmons that's willing to shoot, maybe, right? Because he defends at an elite level. He has good playmaking skills. He have good size. But you have to have shooting from that position. Remember, we got Mitch who's not shooting, and then you're going to bring Ben Simmons. That's two people in the starting lineup that don't shoot. Forget can't shoot, don't shoot. Now if now you're talking about a new Ben Simmons and he's willing to shoot the basketball, even if he's not shooting it at a high clip, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and then you couple that with a guy in Julius Randle who's not sure when to shoot.
Just seems clunky.
Nobody might not want to shoot on a team. Everybody be standing around like, who's going to shoot the ball? You know what I mean? Put IQ in, he'll shoot it. Andy, what do you think, man?
Yes, and it's like you guys said, he might be a good decision, but I still think it's going to be really hard to get this trade done. I don't think the 76ers are looking at our roster and can find the players that they need. So it would have to be probably a 3-team or a 4-way trade. And those are really hard, to corral and to configure and all, making all teams happy. But I think, it's possible. And I would actually, see Simmons as a Knick. I'm not going to lie. If he's vaccinated, I'm cool with it. Because if he's not and he can't play, that's not even a band-aid for us. So.
Right.
Or is against it.
Right.
Yeah.
If he doesn't come to the Knicks, which, it's a long shot that he comes to the Knicks, where do you see Ben Simmons ending up?
I think Portland is a good spot for him, but I don't think they're ready to give up Dame right now. And remember, Philly has a list of only 20, 25 people that at this point they're willing to trade him for, that they feel he's, would be worth it. Right. Whether they come off of that, that's different.
Yeah. And, from everything that I've read, Daryl Morey, people are like, maybe he doesn't even want to trade him because he's asking for so much.
Exactly. For him.
You know what I mean? That, people are kind of like, does he even want to trade him with what he's asking for? I don't know. You mentioned Portland. The only thing is, I don't think Portland would want to move Dame Lillard. I think they would want to try to
pair them together.
Right.
They want to pair them together.
Right.
Yeah, right. I think they would want to add Ben Simmons to Dame Lillard. And Dame has come out and said that he wants to play with a defensive wing. Right, so he's probably pointing to Ben Simmons without getting his team any kind of fines or getting himself a fine. He's probably looking at Ben Simmons as that defensive wing. I mean, who else is out there that's a defensive wing that he would be talking about? And if you think about the way that they play, Ben Simmons is a facilitator. Dame Lillard is a scorer. You know what I mean? So you'd have Ben Simmons out there trying to facilitate for everybody else, and Dame can just go ahead and score the basketball. Doesn't have to think about being the facilitator on the floor. It's interesting. There was, I think, the Pelicans have also tried to pique the 76ers interest. Now, I don't know if they're trying to get – I didn't really read too deep into the article. I just kind of seen the headlines. Are they looking to give up Brandon Ingram in that trade? Or
they were talking about because they would probably swap Brandon Ingram for Simmons and a bunch of draft picks, which honestly, if I'm the Pelicans, if the Sixers are even interested in that deal, I'd pull the trigger on that because the reality is that franchise needs a boost. And if you got Zion, who's going to come back and still young, huh?
No. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, if you got Zion, who's already, he's still 21 years old. He's hopefully comes back healthy soon. You add Simmons, who's another young guy. I think those two could work together, and you'd really ignite a fan base who's really struggling to get butts in the seats. And the Pelicans, the reality is, no one's going to play in New Orleans, really. I mean, maybe those two might entice other players to come, but nobody really is going to say, oh, I'm going to go play for New Orleans. And I don't think they really care about the draft picks as much because you'd have two young pieces and you could just build your team around those two. So if I'm the Pelicans, if they're willing to make a deal, I'd make that deal. So, but would Simmons go to the Pelicans? I don't know.
I don't know how much of a choice he had, but the report I saw was that they were holding Ingram out of the out of the trade talks, and I'm like, how are you going to do that?
Right,
that's going to be impossible.
I can't see them. Philadelphia's not going to make a move without either Zion or Ingram being included, and of course the Pelicans they want to put together Williamson, Zion, Ingram, and Ben Simmons.
Then where does Simmons go? I guess he plays the point guard or a five.
Yeah, I guess he plays, a facilitating wing. Because when you think about it, Zion is really 6'8", right? I mean, he's still
Seems like a stretch.
He can't guard threes, but he's a power forward. I mean, I think you can make it work size wise. So they definitely they're not trying to include Ingram because if I'm Philadelphia and they're including Ingram, I'm doing the trade all day.
Yeah.
All day. If I'm Philadelphia and
that works for both sides. Both sides get what they want.
I don't think that works for the Pelicans.
You don't think so?
I mean, I think where they are now is where they will be, even if they get Ben Simmons. I mean, Ingram is good, man. Ingram is a really good basketball player. He's not the defensive guy.
Yeah, but so can Simmons if he learns how to shoot.
No, but what I'm saying is that's why I say for the Pelicans, it doesn't make sense because you're giving up Ingram for Ben Simmons. How much better are you getting? You're probably staying the same. You get better if you add Ben Simmons to Ingram and Zion Williamson.
If that dude learns how to shoot, he's going to be a special player.
I hear
better than Ingram. Better than Ingram.
I keep calling him Ben Ingram. Brandon Ingram is pretty special himself, though, man. That kid can hoop. As a matter of fact, if he was on the market, if I'm Leon Rose, I'm trying to get him here. I don't think he's on the market, but if I heard any inkling anywhere that he's on the market, I'm trying to get him here. And yes, I'll trade RJ Barrett for him. I'm not.
He had a chance in free agency. They signed him up, but
I would do it without a doubt. What other floor generals are out there?
What about De'Aaron Fox?
De'Aaron Fox, is he actually on the market?
I mean, Sacramento's in a tailspin right now because they fired their coach. I mean, they're trying to get rid of Hield. They're trying to get rid of Bagley. They got to figure something because you got Mitchell, you got Halliburton, and you got Fox. Right. At some point, you have to pay those other dudes. I figure Fox is going to be the odd man out at some point.
And you know what, Sam? Sometimes if somebody is not available, you'll go to a business and be like, are you selling? Like, nah, I'm not selling my business. Then they come with an offer that you can't refuse. The next thing you know, you're like, I'll think about it. Right. So maybe that's what the Knicks have to do. Maybe somebody is not available, but they like somebody and they have to go and just make an offer, given their assets and see if they'll take a bite.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would take De'Aaron Fox on this team. I'd love to have De'Aaron Fox. What are you giving up?
I like him too.
Yeah, I like him. I like his mid-range jump shot. Obviously, he has a lot of speed. Can he be the floor general / leader out there?
Right.
That's a question.
He's working on. He's still young.
Yeah, he's young. That's a question. But I'd love to have De'Aaron Fox on this team. Andy, if you were the Knicks and you were in conversations with Sacramento for De'Aaron Fox, what are you willing to give up for Fox?
Listen, I think you got to start with RJ because they're not going to, answer the phone if they don't hear something that they're at least a little bit intrigued with, right? So RJ would have to be there. And, I think Fox already has that contract, extension signed. So you probably need, to throw a couple of contracts at them. I don't think they're going to be willing to take a Fournier. but probably, an IQ or someone young would have to go in that package too.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much value do we think Obi has? And the only reason I'm saying that is unless Tibbs decides that he's going to play Obi at the 3, and I don't think he's a 3, he's going to play that small ball lineup, or he's going to give Randall less minutes or trade him. I don't really see a lot of playing time for Obi.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I'm wondering.
I understand that, Steph. That's why I think. And listen, Obi showcased himself quite well this year. He's like basically the only bright spot the Knicks have, except Grimes one game.
Right.
So I think Obi might be that 8 or 9 million that he has on his contract currently. I think he actually might be worth that money for teams. Looking at the perspective, he signed through like 2 seasons at least. So I think he might be an option for those guys to not only be a salary filler, just a player that you can maybe not build around, but you can add him to a pool of players to your rotation and see how he develops and evolves.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing also too with Obi is I think that Leon Rose is really trying hard to stay with this guy because he put his neck out there so much for him about how he was a New York guy, how he knew his family, how he thought that it was a perfect match for the Knicks and all that. I just can't see Leon Rose turning around and trading this guy after he put his neck out there for him. But who knows?
Listen, there's some tough decisions that have to be made on this roster.
Right.
You could say that about IQ, who Tibbs is very high on. You could say that about RJ. You could pretty much say that about any of our, our young guys. We're going to have to give to get. And the guys that we may want to trade, Kemba, Fournier, Knox, I'm not sure how much value they have around the league right now.
Right. I mean, as a matter of fact, the only guy out of those who you named where, we hear that there may be teams interested is Knox.
Right.
I don't hear anybody.
He's got a shooting. He can shoot.
Right. I don't hear anybody beating down the door for Kemba or Evan Fournier right now.
No.
Right.
They're like,
the only thing I'll say about Fournier, and I've said this before, teams around the league know what he can do. And I think they're just chalking up what's going on here in New York to just fit. I don't particularly think that he's lost value. I think teams kind of know who he is.
Well, just watching the Olympics, the guy balled out against the Americans. I mean,
I definitely agree with that. I think teams understand who he is. And I don't think it's going to be a matter of teams not wanting Fournier. I think it's going to be a matter of them knowing that his value is low right now. And so they're like, look at his numbers. We're not going to give you this.
And the contract.
You know what I'm saying?
To try to take advantage of his poor play, so to speak.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly.
Got you.
So I think it might be more of that kind of a scenario than them, just not believing that he can play basketball. Go ahead, Nate.
I will say this, Sim. If for whatever reasons we get into contract talks with De'Aaron Fox, I am asking, and I'd be willing to throw Mitch in there, whoever else. I'd be willing to ask for Rashard Holmes back in return because I think he could fit that center position. He's a stretch 5. He can rebound at a high level. He can defend, and I would definitely, if I'm the Knicks, if you want to get. We'd ask for De'Aaron Fox and Rashard Holmes, and then we give you whoever else you want. You want RJ? You want Mitch? You want to throw in Kemba for a slice of bread? Sure, why not? Let's do it. But I would definitely ask for Rashard Holmes in return because I think that would fit our five position answer.
Yeah, I mean, you might be
He's
right.
Very underrated.
But they're gonna want something. They're not just gonna be like, yeah, we're sweet.
Well, I was gonna say you give them whatever, you give them what they want. You get 2 good pieces in return. I'm just saying.
Yeah. What about this name? Sounds like the Los Angeles Lakers may be a little bit wary on the pairing of
oh Lord,
LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and those guys. If Russell Westbrook is on the market, Andy, do you look in that direction?
So me personally,
He had to clear his throat for that one.
yeah, I'm not looking at that one, but Sim, actually, I was thinking about this scenario where the 76ers trade Simmons, and another team swoops in and redirects Westbrook from 76ers to their team and just throw assets at the 76ers. But I don't see the 76ers wanting any of the Knicks players to fill out their current situation, which is basically a championship run, right? So I don't think that trade would go, and I don't think we're going to trade straight up with the Lakers. That's basically impossible for the Knicks. We would have to throw like 4 or 5 players, and the Lakers don't have that many roster spots. If they would have to make roster spots, they would have to cut guys, and the guys that they would cut would be probably better players than the Knicks are trying to send them. So I don't think that's even possible. But just for the straight up fact that Russell Westbrook would definitely not work with Randall.
Oh my gosh, I could. Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of turnovers.
That would be, man, we would average 12 turnovers a quarter with those two guys. So listen, they would be terrible. So that's a no for me.
Yeah, I couldn't see that. I just couldn't see Randall and Westbrook playing together. Oh my gosh, it'd be crazy. Bad decision after bad decision. Like Knicks fans would lose it. They would lose it. But Steph, any interest at all?
Nah. And again, I go back to the window example as well. How many years does Westbrook have? And I don't think we're going to be able to win anything within that time frame. So nah. And his fit with Randall as well.
Where would, if they are looking to move him, where could you even see him ending up? Because at this point, if I think people are going to look and say, if you can't work with LeBron, who is, while, LeBron is a star player and, he can score whenever he wants to, for the most part, LeBron is a guy that is willing to give up the ball, willing to let someone else facilitate, or willing to just play a team basketball game. You know what I mean? And he's one of the best players on the planet, one of the best basketball minds as far as basketball players on the planet. If you can't play with LeBron, who can you play with? You know what I'm saying? So, like, who would even be interested in him?
It'd have to be a team that doesn't have a ball-dominant player, because Westbrook is a ball-dominant player. And the reality is, with LeBron doesn't need a ball-dominant point guard. He is the point guard of the team. Right. That's why he's always struggled playing with point guards, unless you had like a Mario Chalmers or I don't know. Can't think of other people. But like, you have to have somebody who's not a big-time point guard. And I knew Westbrook was not going to fit with LeBron, because LeBron has to have the ball in his hands. It just had to be a team, like I said, doesn't have a ball-dominant player.
Like who? That's the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans might try to trade for him. I also think if the Kings would try to like shuffle up the things there, trade Fox for assets, and then just take up Westbrook contract in a 3-way 4-team deal, whatever. Because that, like we said, small market teams, they're never going to get big names. So if they are, trying to break it up and trade their draft pick, grown player, like basically the franchise player, a guy like Westbrook, with, at least patch it up for a couple of seasons that he has that contract. So, maybe the Kings actually, might be an idea.
Yeah, and I'll throw another team out there. It won't happen, but the Rockets. I mean, the Rockets, they could use another ball dominant player, because they don't have much young dudes.
They're not even playing Wall for that reason, because they want their young guys to play.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, if you want to put him on a team that doesn't have a ball dominant player, the Rockets would probably make the most sense. But
they don't want
he's
him
already
back.
been there.
They don't want him back.
Yeah.
They don't want him back. No doubt about it.
What about Rozier? Do you think he might become available at some point? Or would you be interested if you're the Knicks?
I would be interested if he was available. I'd be interested. I'd definitely be interested if he was available. I don't think he's going to become available though.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think they like the pairing of,
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball and
Rozier.
I think they like that pairing, so I don't think he'd become available. But
You know who might be available, but I'm not sure they would trade him to the Knicks. I heard some rumblings about Schroeder that Boston is open to trading him because he's going to be a free agent in the summer and getting something for him. But I just doubt they would trade him to the Knicks.
Yeah, not in the conference.
No, I think for the right price, Steph, they have basically no way out of that contract because they're going to lose him for nothing because they're not going to pay him around that 80 million mark.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they want to trade Jaylen Brown, because I think that I heard also rumors that Jaylen Brown and Tatum, that pairing, I think they're going to put a plug on it. And I don't think, Tatum is going to be the one staying. That's why I also saw, rumors about Simmons going to the Celtics for example, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown package.
Wow.
That would yeah, but that will be interesting
Jaylen
for
Brown on the Sixers.
Murray.
who'd you say? Say that again. You said who?
Simmons for Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart and a guy or two from the 76ers just to fill it up.
Wow.
So
Hey.
we are 25
Jaylen Brown and the Sixers is
Jaylen
scary
Brown.
with Embiid. That's
With
scary.
Embiid and Harris, those guys will be, I think, they might get a run for the Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks in the East with that roster.
The only question I have about Philly, though, is they have a second-year player at point guard. So, if they can get a point guard, like a Dame or somebody, I think that bodes better for their championship aspirations. Like trying to win a championship with a second-year guard, that's a challenge.
He's pretty good.
Steph, they already, but if they would have Smart in their package.
Smart. Okay.
Yeah, and he can learn behind Smart.
Okay.
Harris, and then you got Embiid. So then they got.
I'm not giving that up for Simmons, though. That's a bit much.
And not to
You don't think? I think that's a bit much.
Every offer they've asked for Simmons is ridiculous. Think the guy that can't shoot, you're asking for all these assets, and the reality is, I don't see them trading the same conference. I mean, same division, if anything.
But listen, every Simmons trade that is discussed, I hope Leon Rose is on the phone and is like, listen, you guys need picks for 76ers, right? So I got the picks. Let me just pick a player or two of your squad and just chime in on that trade. So listen, I hope they're on the phone.
Yeah. What about Goran Dragic?
No.
He's available. Sounds like
he's going to the Mavs. He's going to the Mavs.
He fits the leadership role, but
hold on. You said, hold on 1 second. You said what, Nate? Andy, you broke up a little bit.
He's going to the Mavs. That's why he's available because Boca wants him, on his side. Mm-hmm. Those guys are floor mates from Slovenia national team, and that's basically a done deal. If they're not going to be able to trade him, they're going to buy him out, and he's going to sign with the Mavs.
Right, but why it didn't happen yet, though? This is one thing about Toronto. Toronto is very shrewd because when they first made the trade with Miami, that was the thinking that they would, let him go for barely nothing to Dallas. But Toronto is like, nah, you're gonna have to pony up something. You're gonna have to pony up something.
And that's the idea, Steph, because now Ujiri is thinking like, listen, I'm not gonna give him for free. So, and I think he might be asking for a young guy and like a Brunson that he can flip further and flip guys. If that's not gonna happen, I bet you that Dragic is not going to get that money, that full money from that buyout. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Sim.
Yeah.
What about Dejounte Murray?
Well, that's a guy that's not even on the list. I think
I'm just throwing him out there.
I mean, I would love to have him if San Antonio.
Spurs could sell high on him. I mean, they always find good young players.
They got
Primo. They got Primo behind him.
If San Antonio was willing to move him, and I don't see why, Leon Rose wouldn't at least pick up the phone and say, hey, are you willing to listen to offers for for Murray.
I could see the Spurs if they still struggled. I mean, he could definitely be on the trading block for sure because they got Primo behind him.
He could be, but I also think that the Spurs are a team that they're system oriented, and the more you have guys that know your system, the easier it is to let new people come in and become familiar or help them become familiar to the system. You know what I mean? I take them as a team that does like to build, and they're not afraid to slowly build either. You know, and when Popovich has a guy that he likes and that sticks with the system, follows rules, good character, all those type of things, I think he wants to keep him around. You know, I think that would be tough to pull him from San Antonio. You'd have to give up a bunch, I think, to pull him from San Antonio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying. You got to go there with the bag and just entice them. They don't want to sell.
Right.
Make them.
I agree. Right now, the players that the Knicks have who are available as of today, newly signed players available as of today: Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, and Taj Gibson. Those guys now, the entire roster, except for Julius Randle, because Julius Randle, he can't be traded until like February 3rd or something like that. Everyone else is available through trade.
Does Julius Randle have a trade clause?
No. It's just that he signed an extension, and a person who signs an extension, you can't trade them until 6 months after they've signed that extension. Right.
I think that's similar to why Brogdon is not available, right? Something similar.
Yeah, but Brogdon resigned in the training camp, so his 6 months it's a little bit shorter for this season. But Brogdon's 6 months is around March 15th, and that's after the trade deadline. That's why he's basically, not available for trades this season.
Wow, he's off the table altogether. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk about, I don't know who else is out there as far as guards that we would really consider a floor leader. But let's talk about the center positions. Obviously, the Knicks, I don't know. We thought we'd had this center position together, right? We knew that we didn't have a scoring or a shooting center, but we thought, well, at least we have guys that can play some defense. And we still have guys that can play defense, but they're not healthy. And so it's been a rotating door at the center spot all season long. First 28 games, it's been a rotating door. Taj has started games. Mitch has started games. Nerlens Noel has started games. Right? Jericho Sims, he's had to play because guys are injured or whatever. I'd like to solidify that, and I don't know if it's possible, but I think the biggest name at the center spot that's out there is Myles Turner. And he's not happy in Indiana right now. He's not happy with his role and how he's being played. Steph, do you think the Knicks can pull him from Indiana?
I think they can, but I think there are other bidders as well. So it's not like Indiana is sitting there with just an offer from the Knicks.
Lakers.
And right. So they're going to take the best offer. So the Knicks will have to come strong with an offer to get him.
Yeah. What do you think that is?
Ooh. I think it's going to be, you have to send them back a center. I think you have to send them a young player, and then you're going to have to send them some draft picks, and they not, when I say a young player, somebody with some upside,
Right.
So they're looking to get young. So they're not going to want any of our veterans. They're not going to want a Kemba. They're not going to want, any of those. I'm not even sure they would want Noel, right?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
The trade package has to start with Mitch and a pick.
Yeah, it has to be Mitch.
It has to start Mitch and a pick.
Young big.
Yeah, and then the question is if they are willing to try to negotiate a sign and trade for Mitch, because if that's possible, you gotta expand Mitch's contract so you don't have to fill up the difference between his contract and Turner's contract. So if they would, for example, extend Mitch 4 years, like $12.5 million per year, and then just get the pick, so that will work, right? But and maybe like add a Knox. Yeah, but maybe add a Knox there. Knox is quite good for these guys now. I hope so.
Would you? If I'm Indiana, I'm not trading Turner for Mitch and Knox.
What about Mitch and Fournier?
They don't want Fournier.
They don't want anybody older. That's why they're going young.
I don't think they want anyone older, and I don't think they want contracts that's going to extend beyond what Myles Turner's contract is. His contract ends next season, $18 million a year. It ends next season. So
it's expiring.
If you're talking about Evan Fournier, his contract goes beyond next season, right? So I think you're going to have to look at adding in Mitchell Robinson, of course, because his contract expires this summer. Then they can make a decision on what they would want to do with Mitchell Robinson. So that clears up their center spot. They still get a shot blocking center, healthy. I don't know,
hopefully.
but a shot blocking center out there, and he's young. You probably do have to throw in a pick somewhere, and then you got to find a way to match some salary. So now how does that work?
How much is Turner making right now?
Turner makes $18 million a year. Right? Mitch is making 1.8.
Oh.
Okay, so you got to match another at least $13 to $14 million. You got to figure out a way to match.
Maybe Obi would be attractive to them.
That's what I was thinking too.
He might. Right? Obi might be attractive to them.
But they got Sabonis, so I don't know where they fit him.
But I think he's traded. I think they're trading him too, from what I understand.
Yeah. He's looks like he could be on the market as well. What about? I mean, I think Tom Thibodeau would like Myles Turner. I think he'd fit with Tom Thibodeau. Now, as far as his offensive role being expanded, that's another question. Right? I don't know if he's going to fit in any better here than he is in Indiana, and if he's going to be happy with that. It sounds to me like he wants a bigger offensive role. Can he get that in New York? Andy, do you think, can he get that with the Knicks?
Yes, and listen, with these Knicks currently, I think, one thing that he might be looked as a savior and as a piece that is going to actually try to, turn the destination of the current sinking ship. So and listen, Tibbs already told Noel before the season to try to take threes from the corner at least. And we know that Myles Turner, can make that three if he has that game. That three shot of his is really inconsistent, but we saw that, there are games that he's really hot from three. So I think, it's possible. And I think, Tibbs might, be using him. And he also said good screens. So that would, improve our offense tremendously as far as I see it.
Yeah. I seen someone in the chat say, I thought Fournier wasn't available until February. I thought so as well, but I've seen in multiple reports that he's available now. I've that's multiple reputable reports, and not just anybody, reputable reports that he's available now. So I don't know what that sign and trade looked like with Orlando. It was a sign and trade. I don't think it was an extension. Right? So I think it was just a regular sign and trade, which would make him available now. Another center. Oh, and with Andy, what you were saying, I do agree. He would come in and probably be looked at as one of the guys that is going to help the Knicks get back on track. With as many questions as we have about the Knicks offense, they've built their offense without a shooting center in mind. Now they'd have to change the way that they're thinking about that center spot. Maybe not much, because I see plenty of times when Mitch or Nerlens Noel would be able to shoot the basketball, or should be able to shoot the basketball, or have the opportunity to shoot, and they just don't shoot it, right? They pass it up. Do you think that do you think that the Knicks would adjust their offense, or just kind of leave it the same and wait until the next season to really adjust their offense to make room for Myles Turner and what he can bring? And I mean, still, he's going to get it. He would still get his shots this season. How much do you think that would open up the floor for Julius Randle? Nate, I'll start with you, then I'll come to Steph. So it's two questions there. Would the Knicks be adjusting their offense this season, or would they wait until next season? And how much do you think this would help Julius Randle, just open it up so that he can maybe get some easier buckets and easier looks at the basket?
I mean, I'd probably think that it'd probably be more after the season to kind of adjust the players into it. I would say right now, Turner brings you a shot blocking presence better than Mitch, better than Noel, in my opinion, and gives you a little bit of an offensive threat from the 3-point line. My question to you is, like, you say expanded role. What is he talking about? Is he talking about a back-to-the-back kind of game? Is he wanting the ball fed to him in the post? Because that's never been his type of game. So I don't know what he's talking about when he says expanded. I mean, all I see him do is shoot threes and maybe once in a while hit an inside shot.
Well, according to him, it's not his choice that, all he does is shoot threes and every once in a while shoot an inside shot. It's the system that he's in. He believes the system, at one point, it did allow him to, score more in the post, create his own shots. And then as Sabonis began to develop and grow and become a better player, things started to circle around Sabonis, right? He believes that he has much more to offer on the offensive end of the floor. And he wants the chance to prove that he can be one of your primary offensive players.
So it can work, but the idea is that Julius is going to have to stay out in the perimeter pretty much the game, because if Turner wants to get the ball fed into him, you can't have two guys in the same space. So Julius would be more of the outside guy, which is kind of what he is now. And Turner, if he says he has this game that we haven't seen, I mean, I didn't see it at Texas either, so I don't know what he's talking about. But if he says he does, then yeah, you'd have to orchestrate the offense in the offseason to kind of fit what he does.
Yeah.
But they could play off of each other. When Julius is in the post, he can be outside. When when he's in the post, Randle could be outside.
It sounds like Turner wants to be inside. I mean, just from what he's kind of saying.
Nate, I think Turner was talking. For me, this is a complex situation, right? Because of the Pacers now, but I think there's 2 points that we got to look at. 2-3 seasons ago, Turner, he was taking elbow jumpers and stuff like that. Last 2 seasons, or even this season, we played 3 times versus them. We never saw him, do any other shot than just a putback or a 3-point shot. And I think, the amount of 3-point shots that he's taking, I think he's not happy with that. The other thing is, I don't know if you guys saw the Rick Carlisle interview, not interview, just the report on ESPN by a reporter. That's why he got, basically kicked out of the Mavs job, because Luka wasn't happy. Yeah, Luka wasn't happy how he was treating players around the organization. And there's a report, and DSJ even liked it and shared it, that this is like half of things that people get to know now. So it looks like DSJ wasn't a fan favorite, maybe not a fan favorite, just a Rick Carlisle favorite player. That's why, he got traded and stuff like that. So it might be something, to that smoke.
Yeah, it might be. We'll see how that turns out, man. Steph, what do you think about Marvin Bagley?
Playing what? I mean, listen. Since Gentry has taken over, he's been having some double doubles, like in his 20, in his 15, 20 minutes that he's getting. I'm just not sure of the fit with Randall. Is he a really? I mean, I think he can shoot the three, but would you consider him a stretch five? And if he's not a stretch five, I'm not sure, how he fits, with Randall. Though it'll be like an upgraded Mitch. I'm not sure about his shot blocking either. But he could put the ball in the basket.
But the injury problems you have to worry about Bagley. He's worse than Mitch as far as injuries. So you'd be trading a much more injury prone player. Yeah, I'd probably say no.
Sacramento, they're looking to package Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, I think. Yeah, now Marvin Bagley, he makes $11.3 million this year, and then there's a qualifying offer next year for $14.7. So you'd be getting a guy whose, contract is for the most part expiring. He's going to be on a free agent market anyway this year because I don't think he wants to be in Sacramento anymore. There's been issues with, his family has spoken out about his role in Sacramento. I don't think he wants to be in Sacramento. I think that relationship is done. Buddy Hield.
What's Hield's contract?
Yeah, he makes $23 million this year, $21 million next year, and then $19 million in 23-24. So his contract is declining.
Right, it's not bad.
At least that.
But what are you giving up for that?
I mean, so if you're looking to get Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley from Sacramento, and they're both going to the same location, you've got to figure out how to give up $34 million.
Evan Fournier.
I mean, obviously,
half. That's half, Nate.
Yeah, that's half.
All right, we're starting there. Obi.
That's half. Evan Fournier is half. Now, Evan Fournier's contract, obviously, is not as much as Buddy Hield, but I think it's shorter. No, it's not. Evan Fournier's contract ends 23-24 with a team option in 24-25, so it's not shorter than Buddy Hield's. It's just less because Buddy Hield's actually ends in 23-24 as well.
But would you rather have Buddy Hield or
listen, if we would want to pull a deal like that, it would have to be Fournier, it would have to be Kevin Knox just to match Buddy Hield, and then something for Bagley. So either we extend and sign and do a sign and trade with Mitch, because I don't think the Kings are that dumb that they're just gonna take Fournier and fillings, right? They need something that they're gonna maybe not build around, but add to the core that they have. So it has to be young guys or picks. Right. So, and I don't think, we're going to throw picks at a Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley package.
No, they contract.
Right. No, you're definitely not throwing picks at those guys. I mean, Marvin Bagley this season is averaging 8.1 points per game and 6.7 rebounds per game. He's 6'11", 235. He's still only 22 years old.
Wow.
You think they would take Noel?
I don't think so. And the other thing, Sam, you got to think if Thibs is going to be happy with a Bagley type center, I think that might be a problem as well.
Yeah.
But would you be willing to sacrifice a little bit of defense for offense, Andy?
How much more defense can we sacrifice?
How much more?
I mean, like 22nd defensive rating.
Nate, you can't go from a Thibs defense to a Mike D'Antoni offense in one off season.
Right. I mean, look. Marvin Bagley over his last few games against Toronto, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 1 block. Against Cleveland, he played 22 minutes. He had 7.7 rebounds, but against Charlotte, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Against Orlando, 12 points, 6 rebounds. Against the Clippers, 12 points, 11 rebounds. And this is him. He's getting like 20, he's been getting anywhere from 20 to 27 minutes a game during this time.
Is he starting?
No.
I don't think so.
Is he starting?
Off the bench. I think Holmes is starting.
Yeah, let me see. He is coming off the bench.
That's not bad for
behind Alex Len.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, Rashawn Holmes must be hurt.
Yeah, and Alex Len was a free agent signing. He was cut like last 3 seasons from teams. So
Yeah, right.
Listen, Sam, when we started the show, the Blazers came out that Covington and Nurkic are available for trades.
Huh?
But you know that injury history of Nurkic, it's not funny.
Right.
But at least he can set a screen if he's healthy.
And he's crafty as hell. Like, he really is. Like, he can definitely make some moves inside the paint. He's not going to give you any jump shot, no outside shots, but he'll definitely get you in the paint and maybe a 14, 15-footer.
Yeah. Hey,
But no defense.
Hey Nate, you're breaking up pretty bad. See if you can get that. See if you can get that fixed if you can, because it's breaking up. It's really starting to get popping all over the place. Nurkic. So what's Nurkic making? Nurkic makes $12 million this season, and then he's a free agent. Would you have any interest in Nurkic?
I mean, he's a skilled big guy. I just don't see how he fits with. We already slow and plodding as it is. I would like us to get a bit. True. I would like us to get a bit faster, you know. But as far as skilled, you know, he's a skilled big guy.
Yeah.
But I would prefer a stretch five.
Yeah. Nah, I agree. We are slow and plodding. We don't need to get any slower than we already are. Robert Covington, he's on the market, you know, as a forward. He makes $12.9 million, and then he's a free agent after this summer. You know, so he may be somebody that fits what the Knicks need as far as that defensive wing. We haven't got there yet, but you know, just you know, keeping him in the back of our minds as far as a defensive wing. You know, he may be someone that we can really focus on in the off season. Let me get to a phone call right quick, and then we're gonna start to wrap this up and go through some defensive wings real quick. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
What's going on, panel? It's Nick in Jersey City.
Hey, Nick, what's going on, man?
Hey,
How
Nick.
you feeling?
How you guys doing? You know,
Pretty
Steph
good.
brought something up the other day in terms of, she said, whatever this team does, they got to just pick a course of action.
Right.
And I look at it like the context of where the team was in last summer when they re-signed Randall to a team-friendly deal. They re-signed Rose, Nerlens, and Burks. They brought in Kemba, they brought in Fournier, and all of the contracts were kind of aligned for this thinking of, we're on Randall's timeline, we're going to compete, and you know, we're gonna set ourselves up for either a big trade to go get that number one, or wait until the free agency class of 2023 or 2024. And so that's like a 3-year plan basically. And here we are, we're 1/3 of the way through this season. So we're only like not even 10% of the way through this vision, if you will. And, you know, I'm not trying to hit the panic button, but, you know, because they're only a game and a half out of the play-in. They're only 3 games out of the 5th seed. But it's not looking good. And it's like, if you're going to make a trade, Leon Rose, who I have no issues with so far, but, you know, he's got to come out and explain. He's got to be a little bit more vocal, and he's got to explain exactly what the logic is of what he's doing. I mean, if he were to theoretically get rid of, and I know this might cause it, I'm not trying to divert the conversation, but if they were to trade Randall right now and just say, hey, listen, we're taking a reset, you know, Randall's not the number one. He's not even going to be the number 2 on our team because of X, Y, and Z. We don't think he's got the personality to be a number 2. He doesn't have the talent to be a number 1, and he doesn't have the personality to be a number 2. So we're going to trade him, because if you're going to be a 35-win team, you might as well have guys like Grimes and McBride and Obi out there generating optimism and energy and you know, just building momentum for the future. I think that fans would understand that. Fans would understand where he was coming from, and I'm open to that. I'm also open to going, no, we're still sticking with this guy and we're going to compete. But whatever it is they do, it's got to be like this in-between stuff of, you know, we're on Randall's timeline right now, but it's not working. It's really not working with him. I hate to kick the guy when he's down, but there's a lot going wrong with Julius Randle, and all of this conversation about Fournier and Kemba. Oh yeah, they've been disappointments. Nerlens has been a disappointment. Everybody's really been a disappointment, honestly, except Obi and the rookies. But it comes down to Randall's play this season. That's why we're 12-16.
Okay. Hey, I hear you. Listen, and if they decided to hit the reset button, I mean, I'm gonna support them with whatever they do. I would like to see them, try to, at least this season, try to make some moves that can help the team to continue to take a step forward. But I'm not saying sell out the farm. Smart calculated moves that don't cripple the team. For far in the future. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
I would like to see him do that. Because we do have a lot of young guys on the team, and we have some ways that we can maneuver. I'd like to see him try to do that, and if it doesn't work, then hit the reset button. If you want to call it a reset, it was just one season that was good.
Right.
If you want to call it a reset, but yeah. Hey, Nick,
it's not even a reset. It's almost speeds things up. Because if they were to do that, it's no longer the 2023, 2024 that they're looking for now. It's now that opens up 2022. That opens up this summer as well. If they wanted to get rid of, if we got rid of Kemba, Fournier, Randall, and Nerlens, and even and the only old guys we kept was Rose, Burks, and Taj for the rest of the season, right? Theoretically, and everybody else, if that's what we did at the deadline, and we just did like a salary cap dump and brought in picks and brought in some young guys with light contracts, that speeds things up. In some ways, it's a tactical reset, but it's long term it sets us up. But again, I'm not saying we give Randall away for nothing. He's our best player, and I'm not ready to quit on him just yet. Because like you said with DeRozan, like you never know. Randall might end up having the 5 best seasons of his career in the next 5 years. Something's going on with him psychologically. I think this has just been a terrible. It looks like he got his money and he stopped giving a you know what.
Well,
and that's what it looks like.
It's. I mean, obviously on the surface it could look like that. Hey, Nick, I appreciate your time. I'm going to head up out of here. I got to get to my nephew's basketball game. I appreciate your time. It could look like that, but we also have to take into account, and it's not just Randall, but other guys on the team have personal things going on at home too. And just like any one of us, it can affect your work life. You know what I mean? He had a child. Who knows, what other responsibilities he has to take on at home. And I'm not trying to make any excuses. I'm just saying I don't want to just say he got his money and then now he doesn't care. And I know Nick wasn't saying that. He said on the surface that's what it looks like, but you just never know. But hey, we're going to have to get to the defensive wing later. We'll have to do another trade show. We were having a really good conversation though, because there's a lot to talk about, but I'll probably have to do a trade show every week up until the trade deadline because I think it's going to be a lot of information. But just some quick last words, Steph.
I'm not ready to give up on this season. I think 3 games out of 5th place. The way we're playing, though, it does not look good, but I still don't want to give up on this season.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't want to give up on the season either, man. Not at all. Big shout out to Troy Von Tool. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate you. Nate, some last words.
Yeah, I don't want to give up on the season either, but some changes have to be made on this roster for the personnel of some of these players. And I hope that the front office is now ready to make moves during the season. It seemed like last year they weren't, and that's fine. It was the first time they were all together. It maybe had some jitters. But this year, I expect them to be active in the trade deadline and then in the free agency.
Okay.
We got to make some moves.
All right. And Andy?
Yes, and I also, I'm not ready to give up on this squad. Maybe, and I think this is gonna be the scenario if we're a 3rd team in a bigger deal, just to get that extra player. But it's not gonna be nothing major. I think as far as the Knicks players, it's gonna be just a small addition that might right the ship and get us going forward.
Yeah. Hopefully so. Listen, I think I'm definitely going to have to do some, some kind of trade show each week up until the deadline because the Knicks, I think, are going to be active out there. And there's going to be a lot of trades, I think, going on this season, or at least a lot of rumors. But make sure tonight, you can probably finish this conversation tonight on the NBA Report with Ron and John, 8 o'clock tonight. Make sure you check it out, ladies and gentlemen. All you got to do is go to my channel, and the link is right there. All right. So, as a matter of fact, I'm going to put it up here right now so you can set your reminders to check out Ron and John later on tonight, 8 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. And with that being said, I'm going to head up out of here. I appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Who knows, maybe even later on tonight. But tomorrow for the game preview, Knicks versus Rockets. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. The NBA report, link is in the chat right now. Make sure you go check it out. We're out of here. Be peaceful. Spread love.
This is MBK, nothing but Knicks.
Thank you, guys.
When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.